for my soccer people, this is why I love what I do because it's also just helping me become a better me in as a human and with the people that I interact with every single day. Because part of it, I've always knew that I have to create the environment for them. I have to allow them to be able to make mistakes and there not be any punishment for making a mistake. My most respects to every child and every parent that actually encourages their children to do sports because you're not only developing the as some parents might see as like the ego side, right? Where it's like competition and win and push that kid over and yeah, show them how big and tough you are, but in reality, it's being exposed. Like, hey, like you're being seen, and for some kids, might be very frightful. With my open mind and being put into religion such an early time, and being a kid, I've always been curious.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of people that could relate to this, I'm pretty sure, where they just start asking questions and it's
Mm-hmm.
like, wait, but that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
and you start asking and there's no answers. And me being mean, I keep searching.
Welcome to Awaken the Minds. I'm Monica.
And I'm Mikael. Together, we're your guides on this journey of exploration and awakening.
Here on Awaken the Minds, we dive deep into the mysteries of life and beyond, from spirituality and reincarnation
to marriage, personal growth, and the secrets of the universe. And yes, we'll even talk about aliens.
because let's face it, the truth is out there and so is the love and wisdom we all need to evolve. So whether you're seeking answers or just curious about the unseen forces shaping our reality,
You found your tribe and the vibes.
so let's awaken the minds together.
Welcome back, beautiful souls, to another heart expanding episode of Awaken the Minds. We hope you're having a day full of love, peace, abundance. And if it's been off, just know it's never too late to shift your energy. You are a magnet, and your thoughts, your vibe, your intention, they shape your reality. So take a deep breath, realign, and let's step into some soul medicine together. Here at Awaken the Minds, we are all about raising collective consciousness, sharing wisdom from the journey, and spreading love. One awakening at a time. If you've been rocking with us, thank you for your continued support. Every like, share, and follow means the world. You already know we're here to keep the earth strong and the hearts open. We really appreciate it if you guys can give us a like, a follow on YouTube and all our social media platforms. It is much appreciated so that we can continue to produce content for you guys as well as to help reach those souls looking to understand more. And if you're new, welcome to the tribe. I'm your host, Mikael. As always, joined with me by my wife, Monica,
You forgot the beautiful part.
my beautiful wife, Monica. Today, we step onto a different kind of field, not just a soccer field, but the field of human spirit, where children play, learn, and unknowingly reveal deep truths about life, teamwork, and the soul's journey. Our guest today isn't just a coach, they're a guide, a mentor, a keeper of childhood spirit. Because when kids run, laugh, fall, lose, rise, and try again, they're not just learning a sport, they're remembering courage, connection, and innocence. The same things many adults have forgotten. So today, we're diving into the spiritual heartbeat behind coaching, the unseen impact on young souls, and how guiding a child can heal parts of ourselves too. Please help and welcome my brother in law, my brother from many past lives, my spiritual warrior in arms, Christian Trujillo Napoles.
What's up, y'all? What's up, y'all? What's good? What's good?
What's up? How you doing, man?
Doing wonderful. Yourself?
Doing good as well. Babe, how are you?
Chilling.
Literally.
How does
Cozy
it
over there.
how does it
Yeah.
feel having your brother on the pod?
It's cool. And, the true heels are here. Here.
Yeah, we out here.
How do you feel being on the pod?
Well, at first, I'm not gonna lie, it's a new experience, so it was a little nervous, but now I feel good.
Hopefully that's good.
We're vibing.
That's all. That's all we look for. Nothing to make you nervous.
Yeah.
Any of that. That's all.
Maybe not
Definitely not.
yet.
Maybe his sister will, but
Nah, we're made for this. It's all good.
can you give us a little bit of context of what you do so that people can have a bit of understanding of who you are and the things that you do?
Always have trouble explaining what I do and what I am, because I always want to make sure that there's a full picture of who I am. But to be honest, it's difficult to put it into words, but it's just very simple. I am a director for player development and coaching development. Part of this, it's a lot of digging deep in the human aspect, as you had mentioned earlier in the intro. So that's the main picture. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of details that got to go into this
Yeah.
to make sure that I'm getting all the areas of the human.
Well, let's take it back. I don't know if I want to say that we've known each other high school wise, because I feel like we didn't really like conversate a whole lot, like to really know each other on a deeper level. I think we just like knew each other, we knew of each other, but not until maybe like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, where we reconnected and became family pretty much at that point.
Yeah, pretty much. But to be honest, I always felt like I knew you. No, like I knew him, Just being in high school, it just felt like a familiar energy. I've always been pretty connected to my energetic side of myself. Some might call it mystic, but
Well, let's start in the core wounds of, childhood imprints. Obviously, me, married to your sister, she has a certain point of view of how she was raised or how all of you guys were raised. I know you as well have your own perspective of how you saw things. And one thing that I've come to understand in this kind of work is that we all have a different view of how we saw life growing up. And those views were never the same in another person's eye, because we all kind of go through our own little journey, and we kind of all like see things a certain way or see things that others don't. And my little philosophy, there's always four sides to a story, right? There's gonna be a truth, a lie, your story, and their story. That's just always kind of been like my little philosophy. But can you describe to us from your point of view how it was for you growing up and how that's shaped you to the person that you are today?
Don't say nothing wrong, because I'm about to whack you right with this one.
you can see exactly. You can see exactly what type of childhood I had. Me pegaban.
starts.
Literally.
PTSD kicking in.
Jeez, I can't continue with this. No, but to be honest, kind of going into what you just mentioned, and I would like to share with your viewers this quote that I had run into a while back, which was in every single human mind, there's a different version of you that exists in their head. And it pretty much goes down to what you just mentioned. Yeah, 100%. My perspective will be slightly different based on experiences and views and etc. And for the people that have the awakened mind, you will understand that perspectives don't only come from this life or childhood life, but also comes from past lives. So,
Yeah.
and sorry, could you repeat the beginning of the question?
It was pretty much, what was it for you from your point of view? How was it growing up, and how did that shape you to the person that you are today?
Mm, there you when you say that, this core memory that always comes up to mind, comes to my head, which is going to church with my father. Although I don't consider myself a religious person, as for the people that are viewing, I would just elaborate slightly. I'm a spiritual person, but definitely not a religious person. As the way I like to explain it is, we have religion that is a system, and then we have spirituality that's freedom. Just like school, we have school that is a system to be able to educate an entire culture, and then education itself, when you learn, you become free. It's freedom. But going back to the original thought, yeah, just being introduced to religion at such an early age. Although I didn't like it, I did it to honor my dad, honestly. It was mainly because I wanted to make sure that I was stepping up to the expectations that he had for me. So every single time that we had to go to church, that was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then some random Thursdays, and then Sundays. and then also finishing school, or el catecismo,
Uh-huh.
so religion was very important for me to be introduced into the spirituality. So that's why when people talk about going into religions or whatever, by all means go ahead, because it might end up opening up your mind into something greater. That entire core value, just helped me be able to get to where I'm at. How? Because I was open minded, I was willing to listen. I received what I felt like resonated, and then what didn't, well, here we are, right?
Yeah.
And how it has shaped me into who I am. I'm a very spiritual person, very spiritual. Everybody that knows me knows that there's that spiritual side of me. Experiences that have helped me become who I am. I guess also through actions. I've always been an actions person. Growing up with our uncle, who was always smiling and busting out jokes, etc. He kind of just taught me and taught us how to enjoy life a little bit more and not take it too serious, even when things were not going right. And that itself was fundamental for my growth. Um, because we all have our internal wars, and you'll have people that you cross paths that are complete a-holes and everything, but if you don't take it too serious, or like if you just enjoy the process and maybe make a joke out of it, then we go on, and you don't really stay in that area for too long. It's just move on,
Yeah.
so that definitely is another experience that has shaped me into who I am and helped me to be where I'm at today. Childhood experiences, I mean, we could definitely say being first generation immigrants a big one too. You get to see the world from a complete different perspective. Going into a school system that's designed a certain way and just trying to learn it. By the time you get to high school, you start figuring out things a little bit too late, which but at the end of the day, everything happens. As for the awakened minds, understand that everything happens for a reason.
Right.
Everything just perfectly
It's
aligns
of a divine
to the
time.
divine plan. Yes, the divine timing. What type of person am I today? Oh, well, my job does require to lead. What I feel like has helped me develop that side of me. Definitely, that's where soccer comes into mind. It's definitely soccer played a huge role in my development. So if I could give some sort of acknowledgement as far as what allowed me to kind of unravel my gifts, definitely soccer. And I guess it goes down to my father putting me in that situation. My best friend who I had in elementary. I mean, I will play soccer with my brother and uncle just for fun. But the day I got invited to actually play for a team by my close friend, it was like the happiest day of my life. Yeah, just honing but going back to like the little part, I would say my father also takes a big role in that. He's always been, in a sense, he's always carried wisdom with him,
Yeah.
and that's something that I admire, and I feel like every leader needs. He's also very humble person, noble, as some must say, doesn't close doors to anybody. So all of these things, I definitely have to give it to my father. My mother has also made me into a very strong person. And that's where the other part of my childhood that I'm thankful for, that my mother gave us the freedom to be able to live life as we desire, especially if she was content knowing that we were doing things correctly. So therefore, she would reward us with, being able to, like in my case, and I'm not saying that every parent does this, but I will get home at
Came
11
home to a Lamborghini.
11 p.m., 12 a.m., but it was all just playing soccer and training my body. Definitely, if I could pinpoint to one, it has to be the spirituality side that my father introduced me early. Yeah.
Well, that's it for the interview. I think you're done. Or you're done. No, I'm just kidding. I mean, one thing that really caught my eye was, you know how you would say us going to church and it was just kind of honoring our dad to be able to go to church every day of our life until, you know, we got, I guess, tired of it, or we just didn't find it fulfilling, or um I don't even know how to say
Well,
it.
to be honest, for me, it was more with my open mind and being put into religion such an early time. And being a kid, I've always been curious.
Yeah.
So, and there's a lot of people that could relate to this, I'm pretty sure, where they just start asking questions and it's
Mhm.
like, wait, but that doesn't make sense,
Yeah.
and you start asking and there's no answers. And me being mean, I keep searching. That is why I do feel like it's guided me to where I'm at today,
Do you
and which we could talk about a little bit more in
yeah,
depth.
do you feel that putting having, I guess, having as a kid expectations for your parents, like, or your parents having expectations for you, did that shape your life in any way, of having expectation for others and for yourself in general, because you felt that you had to honor them by going to church and doing all these things, and then as you got older, did you expect the same as for others? I guess the loyalty, right? The loyalty of, hey, I'm this good of a person for you, then you should honor me in this way, or I should honor you on that way that got you in situations that maybe weren't healthy or weren't the best of other people's intentions.
I don't feel like it's an expectation. I mean, besides the one having to go to church, I guess you could say, where there was that expectation. Like every time that my father said, "Hey, let's go to church," there was that expectation. I'd be like, "Okay, I don't want to go, but sure, let's do it." Honestly, it's more like having respect. I don't think the loyalty part. I don't expect loyalty from from random people, but I guess it comes down to a core value of respect. Simply being respectful of one's times and one's effort and energy. Could it be something that maybe unconsciously I grasped at an early time and now I can't even pinpoint it? It could be because yeah, when you say it that way, it does make sense honestly. But from my conscious mind, I would say that it comes down to my values, the values that my father had taught us, or our father had taught
I was
us.
gonna say, the fuck,
You
you
know,
got a different dad or what?
oh, you look a little different,
Shut
huh? But yeah, it would honestly come down to that, to respect as a value that my father had taught us at very at a very early time.
Going back to what you had said earlier, I think it's a very important key that you said, which was the lesson that your uncle had taught you guys, which was like, was be conscious enough to enjoy your time even in the toughest times, right? Because as we've experienced things and you've all been through different trials and tribulations in our journey, we know when we get stuck in a certain, let's say something's not going right in our life at the moment, it can get very dark really fast, and we can also sometimes be stuck in that realm of maybe things aren't always going to get, or things aren't getting better. Starts throwing your mind more into like a negative point of view, and we can sometimes be stuck there, or sometimes some people really get stuck there and they're not really conscious of those things. The lesson that your uncle taught you guys is very important, which I think a lot of us should implement in our life, which is enjoy the times even in the toughest times, right?
100%. And honestly, hearing you talk about it, it honestly ties down to one of my main core values, which is being optimistic. That's always been something that has been characterized for me since I was a child. But I believe it really was nurtured by my uncle's way of being. Because when you laugh, when you smile, the heart lines up, and your mind just opens up, and you see things from a different perspective. So I do believe that that had to play a part of being optimistic.
Right.
Seeing the good in everything. In a sense, besides going, and now it's putting me into a different direction where My father too also, did that where he always saw the good in everybody. But yeah, smiling is good, guys.
I like that because even though like sometimes we may not understand it, that's pretty much grace, having grace for living another day, for being able to be present or enjoy the the moment of each day. Because sometimes, like I said, we can be stuck in a certain mindset. We can be rushing every day and then miss out on all the little moments, like how they say, right? The little moments are the most important things. And sometimes when we're stuck in that mentality of I need to be over there like right away, we kind of forget everything else in between. And then that when it comes to like a certain point of realization, we're like, damn, like what the hell did I do? Like all this time was wasted and I was chasing this and then I forgot the most important thing, which is like enjoying those little things, enjoying time with the family, enjoying just being grateful in general every day, right? Even when how your uncle says, even when things are tough, but being grateful will get you out of that situation. How long we don't really have a time for things like that because we don't really know, but as long as you have that mindset of it's gonna get better at some point, right? And then eventually it does. But
So
do you believe the version of you as a child would feel safe with who you are today?
definitely would. Yeah.
What would be that makes you safe?
And the only reason why I'm like hesitant to be a little bit more vulnerable is just because it feels like I'm bragging. But to be honest, I tend to be a person that perseveres all the time, is resilient. If I'm ever on my back, I always get up, and I'm a person that will always put the safety and the well-being of another person, especially if it's someone that is part of our spiritual tribe, of our star tribe.
Yeah.
Um, just there's this fire that turns on inside. That once that fire turns on, it's game over for whatever's in front of me. And this goes to obstacles in my life, um, you know, the non-physical things. And even when I did, when I would compete, in soccer, every time I felt that fire, I knew things were going to go my way. In short words, a child version of myself would definitely feel protected around me because I would protect it with the ends of my life,
Excuse me.
um, and give it my all.
Do you feel that that was given to you as a kid?
Um, what exactly?
The protection, the type of protection that you have created for the inner kid of yourself.
Mm,
Do you feel that that came from childhood, or do you feel that you grew into it and into the person that you wish, I guess, would have raised you, or would have had a mentor as a per se?
yeah. So you kind of said it. You said it for me. Honestly, it comes down to I've always had it in me, but I was always afraid to show it, um, or let my light be seen. Right? It definitely was something that had to be developed through many exposures, and that's where sports comes into mind. That I'm pretty sure there's different ways that every people get to uncover their magic, uncover their lights, and show the world who they truly are. But I think that's the beautiful thing about sports in general, not seeing it from the competitive side and the ego side, is that when you step in the field, all eyes are on you. So the true you gets to be seen by everybody. There's no hiding, and I think that's one of the biggest battles, internal battles that a lot of kids have. They don't know it, and maybe the parents don't even know it either. but like whenever because think about it, when the ball is at the feet of a player, or let's say you're playing American football, the ball is in your hands, or basketball, but whatever sport we're playing, whenever that object is in your possession, you're in the eyes of everyone.
All eyes are on you.
Yeah, all eyes are on you. And you get to like that one thing that you share with me. That's where fear kicks in for a lot of people, right? And what was it again? It was
Like
you
stage
get
fright.
you get two options. It was an acronym. Fear. It's freedom. What was it?
Oh, face everything and rise.
Yeah,
Face everything, face
face,
everything and rise.
and
Or
rise.
or what was it? Forget everything and forget everything.
You clearly forgot everything.
Yeah. Forget everything.
Yeah, no,
Loading.
so I mean, I'll stay with the lifelong one. Face everything. No,
Yeah, face
Face everything.
everything and rise.
and rise. Yeah,
Yeah, and rise.
face
And then
everything and
forget
rise.
everything and
know.
something. I don't
Yeah, you get these two options, right? We'll say that face everything and rise is one, or be fearful and just let
forget everything and run.
yes, forget everything and run. Right. Yeah, so that's what I thought it was. Okay. Yeah.
what you thought.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. It's a beautiful thing. That's why I give my most respects to every child and every parent that actually encourages their children to do sports, because you're not only developing the as some parents might see as like the ego side, right, where it's like competition and win and push that kid over and yeah, show them how big and tough you are, but in reality it's being exposed, like, hey, like, you're being seen. And for some kids might be very frightful. So
Yeah, I guess we can relate because we've both played soccer together, and obviously, soccer has been a really big impact in your life. I guess it's been a bit and a good impact in my life as well, as far as how my childhood was, and I'd like to get into more how you view soccer, how that's helped you to the point that you are in today, and what would be like the best thing that you've learned from being in the sport. Little backstory, like as far as like from my point of view, obviously my childhood was just revolved around a lot of stress every day, right? Stress and anger, and I guess you could say depression in a way. But Hispanics had this thing of not believing in those things, right? Most Hispanics, I would say, they have this thing of not believing in that, and they're like, oh, you're just feeling something, and toughen up and just keep going type of thing. So for me, soccer was a really like a stress reliever, I guess I could say, for myself. I was defense, so playing defense, you can get that aggression now because you're defending, right? And to me, it was like, all right, I know I can develop the sport. It can help me as far as internally more than externally, because on the external part, I was just always like a laid back person. I never really like starting problems with anybody. I kind of always like steered in my own way. If certain people's energy like rub me off the wrong way, then I'll just like go on the other side because I don't want to get involved, or I don't want to start a problem that can escalate much more, right? And that's how soccer has helped me as far as controlling those things, controlling my anger, controlling the inner child of me, of healing through the sport, because sports really do help people if they're aware of how it's helping them. And as you mentioned earlier, some people can do a sport, and when they're seen, it could be an egotistic thing, or when someone is seen as be like, oh, he's seen as a team player, not just a solo player. When you have a team behind you, So that's just a little bit of backstory of how soccer has impacted my life. How has soccer impacted your life in this whole time that you've played and to the point of now?
I will start it off with a little bit of country. You mentioned that it sometimes you have to be conscious about how it's helping one person or something along those lines. But I would say honestly, people don't necessarily are conscious on how it's helping. Like for me, I wasn't conscious about how it was going to develop me as a human being. I just played it because I knew it felt good. It brought me the joy, brought me and the way I like to break it down is the beautiful game uh, has all the emotions that the world could offer.
Right.
Sometimes it makes you feel very joyful. Sometimes it makes you feel very hateful, which that never crossed my heart. But then there's the other side of it where it's maybe resentful, nervous, whatever it is, right? But at the end of the day, all these emotions, sad or happy, bad or good, it reminds us one thing, and it reminds us that we're alive, right? Um, but as far as how it helped me, like we're talking about literally my entire life, you know. The reason why I love science, spirituality, philosophy, and it all ties down to that because I got to know myself through sport, and it does take an open mind to be able to see it. But like it or not, you have a closed mind or open mind or not, sports are going to be they're going to put you in that same situation over and over and over until you finally picked up the message.
Right.
The
Like,
lesson.
yes, 100%. Best simple example I could give you is for my soccer people, you have an outnumbered situation. It could be a 2v1, a 3v2 in favor of your team. But if you're not open minded enough to understand that there's a third solution that is going to facilitate the entire experience, then you're just going to run into a wall. You're just going to run into a player more times than not. Head goes down, etc., whatever it is. Um, and they make that mistake over and over and over and over. 3v2, 2v1. It was, and everybody. I think that's that moment that every fan of recreational or amateur football is like, "Yo, come on! It was right there. You just had to pass it." And then the kid goes home and he reflects on it, and then they do it again, and then they do it again until they finally learn the lesson, right? And that's just one micro detail of the many things that sports or soccer in this conversation has helped me develop the person who I am. I got put in situations over and over, nasty situations that made me feel very uncomfortable. But that's the beauty of it. I learned how to be comfortable being uncomfortable. One quick story is that everybody goes through high school. I think that's like the most growing times for any teenager. I hear this all the time, but seeing it from a first person view is difficult to really agree with people like, oh, that's when they're trying to learn who they are, etc., right? I feel like it's different for some people because I've always felt like I knew who I was. I knew what I represented. I knew more about myself than anything
You
because
knew your values.
I did. I mean, not to um bash anybody, but I wasn't the kid that was partying on the weekends or some random time during the week, or I wasn't the kid that was trying to fit in with anybody. Like I just wanted to be me. That was it, right? And that's that beautiful magic that sports had taught me. You grow up looking at your idols, your role models, and like, oh, I want to be like that person, or at least that was for me, right?
Right.
So I would try to mimic these idols. I would learn everything that they were doing um, uh, during their off time and during our high school times. And that's when social media was starting to become a big thing. So we got to see more into their personal life. And for me, I've always been about like, well, if you want to reach something, all you got to do is just mimic that person, and you'll get there. The truth is that things that are meant for you are aligned to you, and what our idols and role models do for you is help you discover that light. Is
Right.
help you discover that magic that's going to take that once you get to the area that you have to be at, it's gonna allow you to shine.
Mm.
So yeah, sports or soccer in general has helped me so much. I mean, one of my most uncomfortable situations that I faced was being confident. I had lacked so much confidence growing up, and this is where I learned that I had anxiety. I didn't know what was a panic attack until like it happened to me over and over.
Like being put on the spot, or
Yeah, I mean it happened to me on a tryout where I there was coaches that I've seen on TV watching me, and I knew they were gonna be watching me, and that really made me nervous. It made me super nervous, and I remember I was just relaxed. I was waiting for my turn to be called up, and I just started breathing really fast, and then my heart rate started racing, and I started sweating like if I was running already, and then I remember telling my friend like, "Yo, I'm not feeling good. I don't know what's going on," and I was like, "I'm gonna go use the restroom." I go to the restroom. I'm splashing water in my face. I don't understand what's going on. I mean, I do this every single day, right? But that was sort of the beauty, the beautiful things that I got put over and over into, you finally are able to break through.
It was really just trying to teach you to not dim your light. Your
100%.
fear of being seen
Yeah.
is literally, you were literally not trying to face anything, and you were just trying to run away from it. And I think that's a big lesson that you're continuously learning even now as an adult, you know?
100%. And now, I wouldn't say that I ran away from it because I stepped on that
No,
baby
obviously
in
you
that
did.
field.
Yeah, but you
I played like crap, but
your shadow ran.
something ran. But my physical body was there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very, very interesting. I feel that we watched each other grow up, but we really didn't.
Yeah.
That makes
100%.
sense, you know?
was like I mentioned earlier, like even though you guys grew up together, but everybody has a different lens of how you guys viewed how you guys grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
100%.
like that's one thing I've always been like conscious of growing up. Although I did a bunch of I want to say dumb things, but I had a
Drogas.
I had
Alcohol.
these things had to come through my life for me to learn.
Low riders.
Hoochie mamas.
Hondas that run. That make more noise than run.
No, for real.
No, low key, I did have a Honda.
I know you did. I know you did.
Then it broke down and I sold it.
No, definitely.
But
So, do you feel that that was your biggest lesson, even in soccer? And if it was your biggest lesson, how do you, when you see that in kids that you train, how do you help them shine their light?
Yeah.
Because it's literally about
The
shining their
breakthrough.
light. It's that breakthrough, right?
Yeah.
And with the type of age that you work with, as of today, like we ended up going to go see our nephew play, and soccer is very stressful for me.
bro, she was sweating like she was playing. And I was like, damn, dog. Coach, take her out.
It is
water
so-
break.
but it
Water
is-
break.
But I was looking at the psychology behind it when it comes to boys playing that sport, and boys are definitely meant to do hard sports no matter what. because the testosterone levels are super high and they need to run because at a young age they're just meant to run. They're just meant to destroy and redo and do. And so as they step into that confidence in the field or in any area of their life, but let's say they're having a panic attack or they're having a very stressful frustration. Obviously, the kids cry because they're so frustrated. And I've seen myself do that where I'm so frustrated with myself in certain areas of my life or certain things that I'm doing. And I just cry because there's no other solution and you can't control the outcome. The only thing you can do is control what you're currently doing, right? And you can't control how other players play. You can't control other things. Do you feel that you teach your kids that they need to focus on how to control themselves and not try to control other people, and how to be team players but not once again try to control how other people play?
I wouldn't say, as you know, because if you know, you know. We no longer try to control. But
As of 2025.
but going back to your first original question, on how is it that I'm teaching kids to be able to break through that same barrier that I went through. This is why I love what I do, because it's also just helping me become a better me in as a human and with the people that I interact with every single day. Um, because part of it, I've always knew that I have to create the environment for them. I have to allow them to be able to make mistakes and there not be any punishment for making a mistake. Because going back to religion, I feel like that was one of my biggest fears growing up, of doing the wrong things and then being punished for it.
Yeah, repercussion for it.
You know, which for better for worse, it helped me become the person I am today, but it did put me in a very repetitive loop of being fearful, not only to shine my light inside the field, but shine my light in life just in general. I was so afraid of like going to the corner, although I was all over Vegas playing soccer, but
You're
if
afraid of failing.
afraid of failing, afraid of being seen, afraid of so many things, but it definitely does go down to being afraid of being seen. So therefore, now I could tell you that my kids have the environment that they need to be able to break through that, which is allowing them to make the mistakes. And when the mistake is being made, guide them out of that loop, to make sure that they don't fall into it again and again and again. And it is stressful. It is very stressful. I mean, for all my people that try to like, I would encourage you guys to actually step out of your comfort zone and go play a sport. Like literally, like just go play a sport and then come
Anything in
back.
general.
Either
a sport, martial arts, whatever. Like
100%. It's like
change your perspective.
like you're being hit by everything right on your face, and with people with high egos, or just being afraid. Actually, in the contrary, if you don't have a high ego and you get put in exposed, like you're going to break. You're going to break. Everything is so fast, and but it's also a beautiful thing, because if you don't give up and you just keep showing up, the results always show up. They come out. And then the version of you after that is so happy. It's so happy that you were able to go through that. And it's in a spiritual sense, you feel like you're honoring yourself. Like, damn, we did that,
Even honoring the failures and honoring and I think people think that failing is a bad thing. A lot of people
Oh,
till
100%.
this day, they believe that if something is not working out for them, they will try 10 million other ways to make it work. But sometimes you just gotta let it fail to learn how to approach it a different way. And sometimes people don't let it go, let it be, and let it play because once again, they want to know the game. They want to pretend they know how everything is going to flow. But is where we end up saturating ourselves, right? Where we don't know the outcome all the time. And that's okay. Even as in sports or that's in life in general. I feel that sports teaches you what life really is, which is you're not going to be in control of everything. You're not going to know the outcome sometimes. And that is okay to not know, and that's as looking at the kids today is they were 100% sure they were going to win that game. And they were very confident in the beginning that they were going to win that game. And just seeing that them not putting in the effort that they should have put in the beginning really put them in a really bad situation in the end of losing, right? And they knew they should have taken that W, but they decided that, hey, we played before, we've done this, we killed it, we've been winning, piece of cake, like we're gonna take the finals. And then seeing that they didn't, it's such a big hit
Devastating.
As a kid, and the ego, like yeah, and
Slap
just
in the face.
and just being able to really see yourself in the mirror and say, dang, the outcome was not the outcome I wanted. And that really teaches you about life. And people don't understand that in sports,
Mhm.
And in life, till this day, people are adults and they have a really, really hard time with that because they didn't learn it at a young age.
And to be honest, for all my DVC fans, by the way, I love anime. It's the way I would compare sports. Would be so it will come down to like when Goku goes into the time chamber and things just get sped up in there because he's going through hell, training his body over and over, and because he's doing it over and over, it's helping him discover his best version earlier, and that is what sports really is. It's a time chamber that is you're being shown your weaknesses day in day out. So it's just you get put in the situation over and over that you're an event soul at the end of your journey in sports. While there's people that live their entire lives, and I'm not judging people
I'm
that
judging. I'm just kidding.
that live or criticizing anybody that
Yeah.
decides to do this, but people that tend to live in indoors and in books. Yeah, I know there's a lot of knowledge in books, but there's this one life that you get to live,
There's
and
nothing like experiencing life.
yeah, and to be able to experience life as fullest, I think sports closes it pretty much there, right? Because for all my sports fans and lovers, now we live in a time where there's women and men playing, and you might meet the love of your life, or you might meet people that you cherish and enjoy being around with 24/7 through this journey. And so what better than to be able to exist?
That was deep down.
You know what? Dab it up. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you really playing sports in reference for us playing soccer. You really do go through trial error, roller coaster of emotions, but that also helps us shape and have an understanding of how can we deviate feeling these things and how can we move forward, right? Rather than being stuck or retracting, let's say, you know, feeling a certain emotion in the field, and then you continue to have that same emotion. The same emotion is like that emotion is not going to get us. For instance, one thing that I've learned a lot, especially like us growing up playing soccer, was anger. When something doesn't go someone's way, everybody gets mad, and then instead of keeping our heads up, we start pointing the finger, we start blaming each other, we start fighting against your own teammates rather than like, hey, keep your head in the game. Like, it's cool, we made a mistake, let's learn from it, let's move forward. Now we know not to make that same mistake again. And just like it goes back to that's how life is. Like we're gonna go through this journey of different things in our life, and it's about having that consciousness of, okay, are we gonna keep going through those same mistakes? Did we learn the lesson there, or are we just gonna keep repeating until we finally get it 10 years from now?
Yeah. I
Um,
also think that people get addicted to the knowing of a feeling. So people sometimes they will continuously do the same thing unconsciously, and because it's such a common feeling, it's such a comfort feeling. So with that ties in, do you believe that, for example, you've been through your healing journey as a person, as an individual, as a soul, do you feel that people are afraid of healing because they have to let go of an old version of themselves that no longer exists, and that really hits them in a sense where it's no meeting a new person, meeting yourself, like really looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, this is who I really am. And for example, we've met people that are just afraid of letting go of old habits because they're afraid of who they truly are, and sometimes who they truly are just, it's amazing, but they're addicted to the feeling of comfort, and that's an action, that's a game, that's anything, it could be literally anything.
so basically, what you're saying is being a pro spirit, and I'll tie it down to the same thing that I would tell a teenager, which is if you were perfection doesn't exist, right? Being excellent does, and if being perfect is if you were already perfect, then more times than not you'll be signed by a pro team, right? And that, once again, I'm not contradicting myself because I don't preach being perfect. Um, what pro teams assign is somebody that tries and tries and tries, and just doesn't give up. Being a pro human, a pro spirit. And the way I would explain it from a outer scope or outer perspective is you have your humans who decide to play this game called life in Earth, and if you think you are meant to be perfect and not make mistakes, uh, or contrary, if you believe you are perfect and don't have to change, if the version of you doesn't have to die, then you're absolutely wrong. Because once again, if you were already a pro spirit, you would have been signed by the ascended masters. Your
Probably
ass would have
wouldn't
been
even be
down here.
You would not be on Earth.
You definitely wouldn't. So humble yourself a little bit. Be a little bit more open to learn. And does that kind of answer the question that people are afraid to let go of their old versions?
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much hit it
I
where,
mean, you got your own perspective.
yeah.
That's where your perspective is on that.
Right.
And but in correlation to that, what part of you resisted healing because the pain was familiar. Like pain became familiar.
Ooh, that's a good one. In in life in general, or
Anything.
Just
okay,
anything in general,
so
whatever part you feel comfortable talking about.
that I resisted,
Yeah, healing that you resisted
healing that
because
I resisted. Whoa, to be able to heal something, you got to be conscious about it, right? Um,
what's something
Stubbornness
stubbornness.
for
Oh,
sure.
you are stubborn.
Word,
As a
word,
gold. I guess.
word.
I guess.
Jeez,
That's
can't
past
believe
tense.
it.
Come on now.
Jeez, this
Look,
woman.
look, he has to win his medal of actual improvement, okay?
Listen, I've earned my stripes, all right? I've gone to the trenches. We've gone to
gone
the
to
trenches,
war.
boys. We've been in the trenches.
With planets. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, being stubborn for sure is
What
one of
would
the
you say
things.
stubborn? Stubborn with what?
I mean, I could relate it down to sports or to life. I mean, sports will be when I was in the field, um you need stubbornness. You need stubbornness
To survive.
and to dominate, not survive, but to dominate. Because if you just give up on your first shot, that's it. Go have a seat. Don't come back. But being able to translate that from being unconscious to conscious had to be an attribute I had to do right with an open mind. And and that's where life starts putting things in your way, where you start acknowledging that certain attributes are no longer needed. So being stubborn was definitely one of them that was very difficult to let go outside of playing sports competitively at a high level. And in the opposite side, being able to connect with people
Mhm.
was also very difficult when I stopped competing.
That's interesting.
Because
Like people pleasing or just like competing against other people?
what do you mean?
No, he's talking about what he had to let go of.
Yeah,
And it's just connecting with people.
yeah,
Is what it was hard for him, was to connect after he pretty much stopped being in the game in the way that he was.
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah. So just being able to connect, be vulnerable. I guess that's the right word. Being vulnerable was one of the most difficult things to be able to do, along with letting go of stubbornness, right? So, um, but yeah, those were at least two of the ones that I feel like were very difficult to let go of or develop in essence, right? But another one that maybe oh, you asked for an example, didn't you?
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So I mean, I guess or I gave an example of like if you don't take a shot, then it's like game over, right? But I guess a way it will also reflect. It was trying to dribble past a player, right? You try once, you failed, try it again, try it again, try it again, try it again. Never give up, right? And that's where that stubbornness is needed, and that's where
You were using it for everything in your life.
I was using it for everything in my life because I was finding so much success
I
using it,
see.
you know?
Yeah.
And it was definitely something that I had to a medal I had to earn to be able to build my confidence.
Yeah, it was something I did not ever like about you.
Yeah.
I really did not.
If I write a list of the things, that was fine.
No, it
He's
was.
gonna whip out the squirrel.
They're gonna call me
I
Santa Claus after that.
I also think that you just made your life so much harder trying to be stubborn all the time. for me at least, I would just see how you would kind of cause yourself panic attacks, because since you were so stubborn because you wanted an outcome to happen and you wanted things to happen the way, and you
Yeah,
would
facts.
continue to do it until it happened, and then you're like, okay, it's not going my way, then you would stop, and I'd be like, bro, you just put yourself
Yeah.
through a situation that you should have never put yourself into.
Hey, some people are stubborn
No, I
on being
understand that.
successful, and some people are stubborn on going back to their ex. You know?
Sounds like you do both.
What? That is crazy. No. Time out. Time out. For the record, never done that. All right.
He's
All
just
right.
stubborn
Yeah.
in everything.
But yeah.
Speaking of that, being in that topic of the stubbornness, do you feel that or do you believe that we fear healing because it forces us to change who we are without that pain identity? Because you had the pain of stubbornness, right? And you're just, okay, I know this feeling, I'm going to continue in this feeling, and I'm taking that, moving on to everything I do in life. Was healing that part, like, do you feel like you had a force to change that? Being so stubborn, that how was that whole transition of healing?
So
Yeah, I just slapped him a little bit.
Like, was it fearful for you to let go of that?
So to answer the first part of your question, I do feel like there's things that are tied down to your ancestry that you just do without really thinking about it, right? Because it's a survival mechanism that your ancestors needed during their time, right? Like for example, there's people that are they're fearful. They live in scarcity, right? So for the people that don't know what scarcity is, basically where you fear of losing anything, any abundance that you might have at the moment, right? Money, because you have to buy eggs or because you have to pay the rents. You know, for a lot of people, that was a necessity. They had to really watch out with the way they spend the money, right? So they created some sort of self defense mechanism where they're now living in scarcity. But then there's new lives or
Beginnings.
new beginnings. You know, people that are born within that family tree that no longer need that in their DNA,
Survival.
you know, or the RNA. We want to go that deep, right? Where now they're learning to break through from that. So yes, it is going to be scary for a lot of people to be able to let go of something that felt familiar for generations, you know, and it is very uncomfortable. It does create some sort of fear because you might feel like you might. Honestly, I don't. This is something I never understood. Like, why is it that people fear change? You know, besides the fact that it's comfortable.
Oh, pick me.
You know, uh, you know. It's but what is your thought on it?
People are just used to an identity,
100%.
and it's
That is very true.
they're just used to an identity that has how you said accompanied them from generations to generations, that now when they have to let go of that fear, a new identity has to kick in, and the fear of not knowing if that new identity is going to get you, like you said, the success that was getting you with the old identity, it's scary because for the first time you don't know the outcome. So for the first time you're meeting a new and improved version of yourself that is now going to give the tools to someone else and is going to improve to the next generation. Because once again, you're the guinea pig that is going to lead the next generation to have success in a new identity. And maybe later on, this identity that you are today and are creating today 20 million years later, they might not need that identity anymore because life is continuously changing.
Yeah.
And it's just the fact of having to let go of an identity that no longer serves you is so scary because for the first time, you don't know if that new identity is going to help you become successful or give you the success that that old identity did.
Certainty. And that also ties down into sports, which is something that I exercise. Now that you mention it, now I understand why I had so much certainty when I was competing. Because you need certainty, or in other words, you need to believe that it's going to work out. Um, you step up to a free kick, you got to believe you're going to score it, regardless of whether it's top bins or not. But you got to believe it's going to happen somehow, some way. And that's where you got to exercise that part of being certain that, hey, like I'm letting go of this old version of me, but I'm certain that it's going to be good. For my people that are so afraid to let go of their old version or step up to a challenge, I will share a message that was shared with me once, which is think back how many times you have doubted yourself, and now think about how many times you were able to actually come come out with a triumph. Like if you think about it, every time you have a challenge, you're like, dang, I'm not sure if I could do this. And all of a sudden you do it, it worked out. You know? So, especially when you're being guided and you're connected to that higher essence of your surroundings.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's definitely one of the things that humanity fears is leaving behind old habits, leaving behind things that were passed down to us from generation to generation. In which, like, for me, I've always been a free spirit coming to this earth. I just always walked as a free spirit because I didn't want to be associated to something that already has a system here, right? It could be anything like religion, it could be a certain demographic of individuals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just always felt like if you just walk in your path, you'll be seen as a unique person of who you are walking in your own journey and being open because you truly, when you're healing yourself, you truly do need to kill like the old versions of yourself. And like in my experience, like you always have to, I guess, depending on the mindset that you're in, like some could be like you're in the mindset of egotistic, right? Being egotistic all the time. So when it comes down to you to changing, is like, all right, I need to get rid of this. And the journey is never going to end because there's always something that we need to heal or something that we're not aware of at the moment until something happens and it's like, oh shit, I really do need to change these certain things. So no change could be scary, but I would say to everybody watching, like, don't fear the change, right? Because at the end of the day, that change is probably just gonna reground you to who you really are, right?
Not yeah, sorry. Not only that, but I do feel that we come to this earth to create the blueprint. And creating a blueprint that has never been created before can be something really, really scary. But when you are the blueprint to generations from now, and that could be if you believe in reincarnation, that could be you that reincarnates, but at least if you understand dimensions, you have already given yourself a blueprint that you didn't have in this version of yourself. And people are also afraid of that because creating something from scratch that has never been created before can be very terrifying. And creating your own blueprint for the future can be very terrifying. But on the other side of creating that blueprint is a whole project that is becoming into fruition and is going with the plan. So,
And for you, Chris, what was the first moment you realized your past trauma was still living inside you at the present moment?
The lack of confidence.
Like just lack of confidence.
Yeah, that one was for sure. That one, as you had mentioned earlier, that's been something that I feel like now I've mastered. But
Yeah,
it,
you're here.
yeah, that's true. I mean, for
We've been trying to get you for a good minute.
yeah, I mean, that wasn't lack of confidence, but you know,
that was
Anxiety.
no,
no,
it was just
a
With
journey.
some divinely, with
divine
some divine
timing.
Yeah, it
time.
was just
Yeah,
a
that's
journey.
it. You know, but yeah, there is. I'm not gonna lie. There is shockwaves of that earthquake that happened to me a long time ago, right? In a metaphor way, where the lack of confidence was definitely something that was super difficult to get to mm, be able to get rid of. You know, I think the first big step to be able to break that chain was when I was 23 years old. Because life forced me to be put in a situation where not being confident was no longer going to be competent. You know, it's no longer going to work. And I was forced to be stepped out of that comfort zone of not being seen. You know,
It's like that saying, if you get thrown to the wolves, are you gonna let the wolves eat you alive, or are you gonna come back and lead a pack of wolves?
that's right. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah. So, and then, um, your question was if I feel like it's if that trauma still lives in me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like I said, I do feel like there's shockwaves.
Like ways where it comes and goes.
Yeah, you know, just like I feel like there's humans that do feel that. Not every human, because I've met people that I don't think fear or not being confident in themselves ever exists in them, right? But but yeah, there's definitely still, like I said, I'm not perfect. If not, I would have signed a pro soul contract.
He'd be like,
Yeah.
I've been gone, dog.
I would have been in the 13 realms or something. But yeah.
what what has your healing journey and your pain ab- and everything put together revealed about your purpose in this world? How does it all tie in?
Well, it ties in with the simplicity of which, by the way, great question. That I shouldn't be afraid to shine, to be light and be brightful. Um, and with that, it ties down to my purpose of allowing others to do so, to be lightful and be brightful, to discover that about themselves. Yeah.
Do you feel that the knowledge you've accumulated and the things that you've healed throughout your journey, and and now you being a trainer and a coach to the younger community, do you feel like those skills you can teach also to those young ones? Like how can you teach that to a younger kid that you're training, that you're coaching, that
To
you're
be lightful and
developing?
be brightful, it takes a lot, a lot to be able to do that. Um, so I'm very engaged in this duty, and to be able to complete this duty, I take it serious. So at least from, for the way my brain works, I need to be able to just understand absolutely like everything. Because I'm not just living it, I'm teaching it. And every soul, every age learns different. You know, so so I've had to learn a lot about the psychological side of the human, the science, I should say, the science behind the human mind, honestly. But as you might remember, I've always been very, I've always loved the psychological part of everything. Um, and so with my work, it just forces me to do more of that, diving into the science, the psychological part, the spiritual side, even as well. I was saying, although not many people view it that way, but it definitely helps me be able to understand what's in front of me and how I could help that soul, that person really shine light and be bright. And to be able to help me understand their psyche then allows me to teach them what their psyche is
Yeah.
and what are the tools to be able to break through from it, right? um if we're talking about more physical stuff, we're talking about the technical side of the game, right? Which, I mean, I don't think we're here to talk about how to teach a technical class, but um, it really, it all ties down. It's they call it the Trinity, right? Mind, body, and soul. That's the way I like to view it. You know,
And you described that showing, like when you're coaching, you're training, showing. You reference showing or shining their light, right? Having them be able to shine their light. How do you keep them grounded? Because obviously, if you shine too much light, and then it could then become a egotistic part of them that grows, especially if they have no grounding. How do you balance the both?
that is a very good one. And I believe that is also one of the things I had to learn to be able to, I don't know if the right term is heal, but but be conscious about that shining so much light could create a very big ego.
Yeah.
Um and which is needed in sports, but once you're outside of that
It's like
field,
knowing when to switch it on, when to switch
yeah,
it off.
exactly. It's a switch. So how is it that I ground them? Simple. Same way. It's not the same way, because growing up in neighborhoods where we
job, but you suck.
yeah, growing up in different atmosphere environments, it was rigid, it was very a rigid method, so now the way I try to ground them is by making it into a fun environment, but also having the value of respect and honoring. So respecting your opponent at all times, meaning um
View them as a challenge every time, not as like an easy opponent.
right, 100%. And whether they're just getting started with the sport or already have 20 years in the sport, you're going to respect both of them equally, right? Because that's what your best version will appreciate,
Yeah.
and then honoring the fact that you're able to be there with teammates, friends or opponents that become friends, frenemies, etc. um and being able to honor uh your parents and everybody that has allowed you to be at that very moment. Now, for some people, it might be like, yo, it's not that deep, but honestly, it is that deep.
It is deep.
And this is what it has taken me to discover. Like I mentioned, I've discovered that I have to discover hit three areas, the Trinity. As there is a universal law that um, some of the biggest things in life come in threes, right? Which is the for like I mentioned earlier, the mind, body, and soul, right? So for me, it is that deep, um, and this is what I feel like has allowed me to create the environment that those kids need or need.
Yeah.
So
I do feel that something that life really is about is one, honoring every person, every aspect, every situation that you've been in. And sometimes as kids, we don't get taught that because we're upset that a certain person made us feel a certain way, or a certain situation put us in a very uncomfortable space. But what we don't realize as kids is that honoring those moments is what creates a more fruitful life as of today. And like how you were saying, the three pillars, mind, body, and soul, to me is respect, honor, and align, and you have to honor the body for what it has been going through. You have to respect the soul that is giving you the wisdom and helping you remember. And then you have to align the body and the soul to co-create in this existence. And that is something that I think as kids it will be very important to learn, is not separating the soul and the body, but uniting and aligning both
yeah,
to who you are today.
yeah, yeah. Very well said.
Thank you.
I always knew she had it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's just being a kid. You don't learn those things, and you think that everybody is going against you, but really, everything is going with you to help you align who you truly are. And if there's anything that you can probably teach your kids is aligning their soul purpose to their physical purpose, and not trying to separate the two of them, but unite both of them to be able to align the soul. And the sooner you teach the kids that they're sponges that at a younger age, the better that we see the future becoming what it's meant to become.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, that you just said basically ties down um to the whole first thing that introduced me to get to where I'm at, which is always follow your heart. And that me following my heart aligned me and my physical body to where I was supposed to be. You know,
Yeah, it's how they say the mind thinks and the heart guides, or something like that. Something like that. But you always know where to go because of your heart, never because of your mind. When you're using your mind, I think it's more of an egoistic thing than when you're listening to your heart.
Yeah. Wow, what?
He's like, I haven't used my heart in a long time.
Is it pumping?
Okay, calm down, Grinch. No,
No,
definitely.
but I get what you're saying. Whereas if it aligns with your heart, follow what your heart desires.
But sometimes you
I
can't
believe
follow
that.
with your heart all the time either, because then you're just always following with your heart, and this is what causes you to get hurt most of the time.
I mean, I guess what you're trying to say is that we have a brain for a reason.
Yeah.
To bring brain exists for that, to bring reasoning, because there is people that will take advantage of your heart, of your big heart.
Yeah.
And that's where the brain comes in, the ego, and it has to say, you know what, that is enough.
Mm-hmm.
Love yourself.
Yeah.
Bring that love back.
With that being said, do you feel that forgiveness plays a huge part in that? Because people can forgive, right? I can forgive people, and this doesn't go towards family or anything like that. This is just more, but we never forget. With not forgetting, but you do forgive, how does that play with your life constantly of boundaries? Because you can forgive someone, but that doesn't mean that you allow someone to continuously hurt you, right? So I feel that you are very much like my dad, where there's always forgiveness, but sometimes there's no boundaries and you continue to hurt yourself. So, how do you feel that you've gotten better at that? Or do you feel that you just little, little dumb sometimes?
um, I definitely have gotten better at it. Because like you said, I've always led with my heart, and
That's what's gonna smack you.
and then vice versa. Sometimes I'll be like, "What the heck? Why? How can you be so cold?" But besides that, is the fact that yes, I do feel like I have gotten better at it. But this is a core value of mine, and that is where the brain does come in. Like, that's where I acknowledge that the brain is there for, or the ego side, I should say, is there for that. To be able to protect you against people that would take advantage of the gold heart. As some might say. Would I ever get rid of that side of me? I don't. I doubt I will ever get rid of that side of me, because that's one of the things that I feel like make me. You um. So yeah, but it's definitely been a learning process, and if we want to relate it to sports, it could also be getting it's an instant too. Like you'll get slide tackled through the back, or you get hit in a malicious way. It was a malicious way
Yeah.
that was meant to hurt you, and you right there in that moment you have a decision. I either forgive him or I retaliate, and then cause more problems for not only myself but for my team, right? And a lot of, I mean, all the times I've always decided to forgive, and it allowed me to flow better on matches, But um, yeah, it's definitely
Yeah, I was the opposite. I was like a bull. It's like, oh, hand, all right. I got you. Wait till you come back around over here. I'm saying you're flying 20 yards, dog. And then I forgive you. I'll pick you back up. Oh, you good, dog? All right.
I'll see you at the next sprint.
Yeah, like you definitely learn a lot through the different sports and the different outcomes that happen every time, because something different always happens. Always one thing about sports is that it's not the same every game, because something different always happens. Different emotions, things can get heated. Things could be a good game, could be a bad game. Like you just never know.
100%.
Just a one big old roller coaster.
And this is why I love what I do. Because it's very tied to life. Yeah, it's
Life's just a roller
never,
coaster.
like you jump in a match and it's a play could be very similar, but it never ever flows or ends in the same way. And if it does, I don't know, it probably happened like 20, 30 years before, or I mean, not saying every kid already has 20, 30 years, but yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah. If the world could see children play without judgment, without ego, just spirit, do you think we'd remember something sacred about ourselves?
For sure. Without a doubt, because that is the whole thing that I try to preach. I mean, think about it. Right now, at this very moment, in this very time, one of the number one things that parents and kids love to do is do what? They love to win. Win, 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 win. They look up at the score. If they're not winning, they're losing.
Mm.
You know, but yeah, if we were to be able to get rid of that and focus more on the pureness of the sport, of which is what it's doing for the kid or for the soul, humanity will be so much better. And the day that we do reach that, where we're just, you know what, hey, let's focus on today, on developing what is really going on today, and not worry about what's on that score, because that score is not going to determine where you end up in life, then we will be in a much better place. Like, just think about all the values that one needs to be able to see the world that way. Not saying that
Late.
I'm a saint or anything like that, but I do tend to follow values that I feel align with what the true essence of God is, you know.
Yeah.
So
So it's definitely living in the present moment, right? Is as I mean, I don't know. I'm not a parent. You're not a parent, but I do see that a lot of parents are always already planning their kids' futures. And yet the kid is its own vessel, its own living human and soul, and you continuously see these parents putting this future that the kid maybe one day might not want, you know? And how has that helped you understand and seeing parents do that constantly in the field? If you were to ever become a father, and let's say your kid is like, honestly, I don't feel like playing soccer. Soccer is just not it.
disowned.
About to say
You
that.
see that door? Never
Stabs to
look
the heart.
back. Nah,
Like, and they are saying, hey, dad, I want to be a philosopher, or I want to go to Egypt and go find tombs, and I want to
that
be a
still sounds
scientist.
badass. But if it was something that people would consider worse or minimal, I honestly, as we all understand, every soul comes with a purpose, and if that child is sole purpose is to be a painter or read books to children or whatever it is, then so be it.
By all means. Yeah.
I'm not going to get in the way of
Their mission, pretty
Yeah.
much.
I'm just here, just like every child that I encounter. I'm just here to be of assistance, a facilitator. That's it.
What are you doing today that maybe 20 million years when you reincarnate, you
20 years. Jeez, would there even be a planet?
probably more beautiful than it is today.
Right.
But what are you doing today that not maybe 20 million years you or 20 years from now is changing your whole perspective in life or just life in general? What is it today? What is the blueprint of today that is creating tomorrow?
Micro details. Micro details that we all do every single day, and I can't go any further than that because I'm not conscious about it.
Mm-hmm.
But from my conscious mind right now, I could tell micro details that we do every single day is what determines who you're going to be tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, it could be something as basic as, should I do the dishes now or should I do them later? What type of person does that make you? A later person.
Yep.
Does that align with who you want to be 20 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm probably stressing some people out because I'm stressing myself out just by thinking about it.
They're like, dang it.
To get going, get your dishes washes or washing. Micro details, making your bed every day, doing your laundry, etc. They might seem minimal at the moment, but those are characteristics, attributes that then become into ways of living
Mm-hmm.
and ways of viewing life.
So how are those micro details helping the future you? How do you see your future self that obviously those actions are definitely helping?
Well, it's like baby steps. Like doing baby
Mhm.
steps now that are gonna eventually help you in the
Right.
future.
Yeah, but what does the future him look like? Doing those little micro details today, and how does how does future you look?
So, correct me if I'm wrong. What you're asking is basically what my best version looks like and
Yes.
feels like,
Mm-hmm.
and how my micro details today are lining up to that.
Yeah.
Um,
Having a maid later on in the future.
yeah,
Yeah.
like looking for a maid. I'm tired of doing all the micro details.
If anybody want to step in,
um, you know, it's how how are those micro details aligning to it? Well, because I always there's an exercise I like to do, or I do from time to time. I used to do it more as it was a habit that I was trying to integrate in my mind, which yeah, I have to give credit to Dr. Joe Spencer, where you want to picture and envision yourself right before going to bed and when you wake up on what your best version would look and feel like. And this is something that meditation has taught me as well. Um, and every time I tap into that version of me, I get a feeling of it, and then I just try to mimic it throughout my day. On my actions, on my thoughts, and my words. There is moments in my life that definitely have gone a little bit unconscious, just like some people do. Um, and it ties down to distractions. A lot of the times we get distracted. There's so many distractions, and there is many things we could label as distractions. You have like your top heavyweights of distractions, which is drugs, alcohol, sex, social media, um, yeah, man, woman, whatever it is that you're into. Um, and there's the next tier of distractions, which would some people would see as like, oh, it's not harmful, but in reality, it's distracting in a sense. Is
yeah,
your movies, your shows, the overstimulation um, of the brain, video games, um, all this stuff, right? And then you have your small little smaller ones that some people might even say that it's not harmful at all, and it's um music. Music is one of them.
way to listen to it.
I mean,
Reading,
what is it?
reading
Reading
on
as
social
well.
media, like whatever you see on social media.
Correct. But when I mean music, I don't mean just your bad music. I also
No.
mean just music in general,
Mhm.
because when we put on music, what is it that we're doing? We're surrounding our surroundings with noises. And every noise, as we all understand, has its frequency. And to be able to really tap into your mind, into your intuition, into your higher self, you gotta be in silence.
Yeah.
you know so music could also be a distraction as well, that people don't even realize it. um so
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, just in general now, especially in today's age where there's just a lot of distraction, especially where we live. Like you walk outside, you see all the lights, you see the whole strip area just lit up and all kinds of things. So much entertainment everywhere. You see billboards, you see LED billboards now. They're not just like a slapped face on there. Everything's now LED. Like so much, everything's becoming so electronically infused in our life that it gets to the point where you see it outside and you also see it inside your home, in which you're we sometimes as humans, if we're unconscious of those things, we can't distinguish what's distraction and what's not distraction anymore. Especially because we live so much in everything is light,
Yeah.
come to your house, it gets dark outside, you're flipping lights on, kind of like this. In our whole setup, we got the cameras, lights, everything, like,
100%.
and Same thing now. We walk outside our house and we see the same things. Unless we live like in, I don't know, like North Dakota, where walk outside it's just a desert.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you guys ever been, but I've been out there and it's just like 20 miles just dirt road. So good luck finding any lights out there. You have to
Right.
have a little lantern walking out there.
But another distraction, and I know this is gonna sound maybe it's gonna be a heavy thought to wrap your mind around it, but even sports could be a distraction or
Yeah.
are a distraction. You know.
Well, it's like the saying, right? Is how much time you put into everything determines the outcome of the things that you also avoid, right? Like if I'm hitting the gym freaking 5 hours a day, it's like, do I really need 5 hours a day, or can I do like an hour to 2 hours, maybe hour and a half of my time? Now I have those extra 3-4 hours to spend it doing something else versus just strictly wake up. I'm like, all right, 5 hours in the gym today.
Yeah.
Let me get 20 miles in. Let me bench press for an hour. Let me do legs for another hour. Let me steam room, saunas, pool, whatever, Like we sometimes do more harm to ourselves than we think we're doing good. Focusing in something for too much time and ignoring the rest.
100%, and that even goes down to like the bottom side of it. Being too connected to your spiritual could also be a distraction.
Yeah.
Meditation, religion,
Yeah.
because you let go of everything else, and you just live in that realm. You just live in that world, where your pain doesn't exist.
Yeah.
I
I live in that world. I'm just kidding. No, it is true. It's you stop being realistic. In a lot of these distractions is about not being realistic anymore.
and for the viewers to have understanding of what we really mean behind the message is not that to not do these things, right? Maybe you don't want to go into your heavy weights because that just is going to put you in a knockout stage, you know. But do be conscious about how is it that you might be using these distractions in a sense, to avoid what's really going inside, you know.
Yeah. How do
That's
you
like that.
sorry.
It's like that saying, right? Get rid of all the distractions around you, and then you really start seeing where the distractions are coming from. Because once you can't, it's like canceling out the noise all around you, and now the only noise that you have is the noise inside your own head. And now from there, you can start determining, like, all right, am I at the cause of a problem, or is my surroundings the cause of a problem? Am I causing my own self hurt, or is hurt coming from outside sources? Chris, once again, thanks for joining us. It's been a long time coming,
It has.
and
There'll be a second part
yeah,
eventually.
it'll be
Once we're more
there'll be a part
rested
two,
and
more.
Yeah.
and more energy put into it. But definitely thank you for joining us in the pod, brother. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you, guys.
And for you to share your wisdom with not only us but with the world, because the views are going up and this just up from here. So people are gonna see you, and we hope they can take something from what you've given them as a gift for them to also take home. And every time someone plays this video, honestly, is a gift to be able to have someone come on there and press on our video and get some type of mentorship by a different individual that they might not have at home. So we don't take that very lightly. That's something that's, people are getting guided through our words and through who we are and through what the purpose we have in this world. So thank you once again for sharing your light and shining bright.
The last things that that I would say is besides the thank you and for giving me the platform to do so. May hopefully the viewers or somebody out there, maybe you picked up one or two things. I mean, I don't think I'm a very interesting person, but you know, there is
Shut up.
interesting.
Dog confidence. That's good.
Yeah, I think you're probably one of the most interesting people I've met.
Nah, I know. That was just me trying to exercise humbleness. I'm not gonna lie. I'm interested as fuck. I was like,
If you say what does you might end up doubting your marriage, your friendships, your dog.
serious.
Start questioning reality.
That is facts. No, we are very awakened out here, and may our something might have stuck with the viewers, stuck with the viewers. And I just want to say to, if any young minds are out there trying to find more answers or truth to life, just go with the very first thing that has been put into you, which is following your heart. But be conscious about how the mind can also play tricks, and to be able to connect with the heart and know what's really yours, you got to silence everything else on the outside, which could be hurtful for a lot of people. But beyond, if you really ask for help, if you're vulnerable enough to ask for help to your close ones, whoever it is, close people that you are to, there will be someone out there that will rescue you. And I know there's some heroes out there that also need saving. Who saves the hero when the hero needs saving? Well, you just got to be open, open up, and be truthful to yourself. Be truthful, although it might hurt, but once that is healed, your next version is going to thank you so much. So be open minded, open hearted, and love all and exist. Love, live, exist, as I like to say.
Yeah, like you said, sometimes we forget. And in order to understand is going within. Love it.
For sure.
And, well, as we close today's conversation, we're reminded that sports are not just games. They are sacred classrooms where souls grow through laughter, movement, and connection. To every coach listening, you are more than someone who teaches skills. You are the holder of energy, a witness to early dreams, and sometimes the first person to tell a child they are capable, powerful, and worthy. May we all remember that behind every whistle blown, every cheer from the sidelines, every moment of encouragement, there is spiritual impact unfolding that goes far beyond the scoreboard. Thank you for sharing this space with us, Chris.
Thank you, guys.
And then
Appreciate
until
it.
next time.
For sure.
Blessings, bendiciones.
Hi.
Thank you.
Yep, until next time, let's keep guiding with our heart.
One last thing, if I may.
Cuñado's got some.
If I may,
Si somos mexicanos.
yeah, no se quiere ir de la fiesta. We continue. For the young viewers, or just a person that hasn't found their true purpose in life, there's going to be people that tell you that you can't make a living out of what your heart desires. I say, screw that, forget that. God has the perfect plan for you. And everything that your heart desires will be yours, is yours, and it's already done. You just got to believe it and align with it.
And one more thing.
Agave, comadre.
Dale. Una vez, dale.
No, one more thing is for also the young viewers and young women is to not take this conversation lightly and to know that there is men that you can talk to about situations, about growth. And this applies not only to males in the field, but this also applies to females watching from the sidelines, and also honoring the man out there in the world. And the day that you honor the man in your life, the kids, the boys that are growing into man, you are honoring yourself as a woman, because at the end of the day, what is going to make the generation better is the men that we surround ourselves with. And don't take that lightly, and believe that there is good men, and there's also men that you can have deep conversations with and that do understand your brain, and that who you are either helping grow into the man that they're supposed to be, or hopefully the man they are wanting to be, you are also the supporter and also the person that they see and they're like, hey, they've that woman has always been on my sidelines, and don't take that lightly, and also know that there is these deep conversations, and that there is possibility that men can be vulnerable, and that there is the possibility that people are constantly changing. So if you are a woman that thinks, oh no, men are not evolving, you can't teach the old dog new tricks, I believe that that's a lie, and you are creating your reality. And if that is your reality, I give you the message that today it shouldn't be that, and that your reality should be everybody has a chance to grow and outgrow.
To everybody watching, don't be afraid of change. Flow, love, and give. Those are my 3 principles of life. Guys, don't be afraid of change. Women, don't be afraid of change. Change is a part of life. That's what's going to help us grow. And sometimes it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to be pretty on the other side of the, how they say, on the other side of the road. And enjoy life. Be a child, but not a child. Think and lead with your heart, not with your shoe size. Till next time, we'll see you guys later. Ciao.
See ya.
Peace
Adios, adios,
out.
adios.
So let's awaken the minds together.